Hello and welcome to another episode of the Warrior Artist Podcast, a resource full of practical advice, tips, and inspiration to help you on your creative journey. My name is Aideen Glynn, and today I want to talk about Instagram, specifically about how artists can use Instagram. I have about 18 tips and suggestions for this. Hopefully this will help you. There's two sides of being an artist. There's a side where you are creating work in your studio, you're painting, you're making work, you're trying to get as good as possible, you're investing in learning, maybe you're in art college, maybe you're going to workshops. And then the other side is promotion. It's when you are trying to get your work out into the world. That might be through exhibitions, through entering open calls, and you can also use Instagram for this. So I've learned Instagram by doing it. At the beginning, my teenage daughter had to tell me how to work it, and I've just gotten better and more comfortable by doing and by sharing. And I've noticed recently a lot of artists asked me, how did you do that? Or how did you share that? Or how did you do that thing you did? And I've learned that there's a lot of artists who don't know a lot about Instagram, and I'm hoping this can help you. So I think Instagram is a visual platform. So it's perfect for artists because we are visual. We have all this visual material, paintings, our studio, everything we do could be photographed on your phone and shared on Instagram. And why go on Instagram? I think you can go on Instagram because it's a way people can find you. Collectors can find you. Somebody might want to buy your painting or your artwork, galleries, other artists, and your fans. Also, you can find people. You can find opportunities, open calls. You can find other artists, galleries. It's just a way of connecting from your studio to the world of art. So Instagram is social media. It's in your phone. It's very intimate. You're in somebody's phone. And you got to think about why people are going on Instagram. They're going on Instagram, I think, because firstly, they might want distraction. They might want to look at beautiful things. It's a bit like a modern day version of flicking through a magazine. I know a lot of people who go on Instagram maybe at nighttime before they go to bed. It's like a treat they've saved up for themselves. So they follow things they find visually beautiful, and they want to see that. So you can provide it as an artist. Everything you create is beautiful and is certainly worth being on someone's Instagram feed. Also, Instagram is a community. It's a social network. It's a way of people connecting with each other. It's a way where you can comment and find artists, and you can promote artists, you can share artists, and they can find you as well. And people also go on Instagram to be entertained, like they want to laugh, they want to find something funny, or to learn things. So that's where you can show maybe your painting process, you can share your studio, how you make your work. And it's more intimate than just going to see someone's painting on an exhibition. You're letting them into your life a little bit. You're letting them into your studio, and they can get to know you and trust you. So that's why I think you should be on Instagram. So firstly, I'd say, don't worry about how many followers you have or don't have. Everybody starts off in the same place with 0 followers. I remember being really excited the first time I had 20 followers. So forget about the number of followers. It doesn't matter. Forget about people give out about how hard it is to grow and the algorithm is always changing, etc., etc. I think engagement is more important than the number of followers you have. So engagement is people who are always looking at your posts, who are writing comments, and you're writing comments back. They're connecting with you. And I think that's more important than the number of followers you have. So do not, if you get any of these messages saying, I can grow your followers, you can buy followers, do not engage with that, because actually Instagram will punish you. They'll realize that they're bots, they're not real followers. So how do you grow on Instagram? 1 follower at a time, 1 person at a time, and the number does not matter. Forget about the number. Point number 2, this is something I see. If you want to be found on Instagram, make sure your account is public, not private. If it's private, every time somebody wants to follow you, you have to give them permission. So if you want to be discovered, and if you want your art to be discovered, make sure your account is public. But also you got to think about security. So somebody told me recently about being hacked and what a stressful thing that was. Make sure you've got your double password login and you do every step you can to make your account secure. Number 3, your name and your photo. So when you join Instagram, Instagram will ask you to choose a name, a handle. That's your little @ symbol and your tag. And so you can choose your name if you want your name to be known, or you could choose something more, I don't know, more fun or ephemeral, like the abstract podcaster. I could choose, for example. Maybe it's more memorable than my name. But if you choose something that's more whimsical, please make sure you also put your own name down in the sub-tagline. So it allows you to have a name and it also allows you to put something else. Make sure you put your own full name there, because if anyone searches your name, that will come up. So I like to go to art exhibitions and I like to tag and share the artists on my Instagram stories. And you'd be surprised how often, how hard it is to find the artist because they don't have their name on Instagram, or they're listed as something else and they're not searchable, they're not easily findable. So make sure your name is found. And if you don't like the name you have, you can change it. You can just go in and edit your name, and you're only allowed to change it once every 10 days. I did this recently because I had set up my name as @Aideen Glynn altogether. And I realized that people outside of Ireland didn't know where my first name ended, my second name began. So I changed it and I put in an underline between the first name and the second name to make it more easy, more legible. And it was just everybody who was already following me just automatically got the new tagline. So you can go in and you can change your name if you're not happy with it. The other thing you have is you have a little icon, a little image on your Instagram feed. And that is also something you can change all the time. And it could be whatever you want. It can be a logo, it can be a bit of your painting, it can be your face. But that little icon and your name is what pops up every time you make a comment or a like on someone's story. So it's important. People get to know you from that. So go in and look at your own Instagram page and go in and look at your icon and your, I should actually have mine open. Opening up mine now. That's my name and that's my little icon underneath it. Your bio, that's the 4th point. Your bio is the little bit at the top above your photos. Don't make it too long. Think about the size of your phone when someone's holding your phone. The longer your bio is, the further it goes down and the less photos they see, the less of your page they see. And change it. You can change it all the time. So that's something I look at regularly. So go in and look at your name, your icon, and your bio. Now, the other thing that Instagram allows you, it allows you one live link. And that is so powerful because for free, anybody who goes into your bio, and people talk about the link in bio, that's the live link. So at the bottom of your bio, you have a little line that anybody can click and they get brought to that page. And that is so powerful. That's a way of somebody going onto your page and just want to find out more, they can click on that link. So please, please use that link. Have a website if you can, or even if the basic website, put in that link. I've so often these people don't use that link. If you have an URL you want to share in your bio, please do not copy and paste it into a big long text in your post as well. People can't click on it. It's not live. Make sure it's a clickable link. You can change your link in your bio to the one you want them to click on, or you can use something like Linktree, which is what I use, which will, if I click on that now, it'll bring me to Linktree. And that is basically a way of me having lots of links that I can promote different things, like if I had an article, to look at my paintings, to email me. So there's one link and it brings it to this subpage of links, and this is free. Linktree is free. So if you have lots of links you want to share, that's a way of doing it. So the way I think about Instagram is it's a way of communicating with people. And in the same way you have to find your artistic voice, you also have to find your Instagram voice, a way you're comfortable of sharing. And everyone has their own way of doing it, and there are no rules, but develop your own voice and have fun with it. Share what you're comfortable with. So not only just doing posts of your own work, but share other artists' work. You know, if you go to an exhibition, you can do a little video on your phone very, very quickly, or take some photographs, and you can share that as well, and make sure you tag the artist when you do that. So my own Instagram story, when I started, I hadn't a clue. I was posting, and I learned really by doing it. But I've become more comfortable about being open and honest, and people say authentic, just saying what's really going on with me. And I think partly why I do that is because I'm older and I kind of don't care. And also my husband isn't on Instagram, and a lot of my friends aren't on Instagram. So when I go on Instagram, sometimes I feel like it's only my art friends that see that. So it's not people in my other life. So it gets quite freeing sometimes, just saying something or sharing a story or just talking on Instagram. There's a freedom in it. And then I just put it up there. I don't think about it too much. I don't overthink it. Forget about perfectionism. Don't try and have a perfect post or a perfect story. Just share and see what happens. And the first few times you'll be very nervous and you'll feel awkward, but you'll get more comfortable. You'll learn by doing it. Sometimes I don't show my face. I don't talk where you can see my face. I might just point my camera and show my studio. I might talk, I might not talk. I might just put music on over it. But I just share what I'm comfortable sharing, but I try and share every so often. That brings me to point number 7, is when you're on Instagram, it's not just good enough to be there. You have to show up. You have to be consistent. You have to remind people that you're there, because it's a busy place. There's lots of other people out there. Somebody might follow you, but then if you don't do a post for a long time, they'll have forgotten about you. So be consistent, show up, and not just show up to comment and to scroll and to look at other artists, but to share something yourself, a post, a photograph, a story. And people will get used to, they'll kind of connect with you. The more you share, the more they get to know you and the person you are behind. So I try and show up every day. There are some days I don't, because I'm not in the mood, but I try and share something every day. It might not always be a post, it might just be a story. But anytime I go to an exhibition, I now always record it and I share it on my story so other people can see it. And it's a way of, sharing other artists. I love all art, and I want people who follow me to get to know those other artists too. So manage your time on Instagram. That's point number 8. I don't spend too long scrolling. I will go on Instagram to share what I'm doing, but I save up my time. I have very, very little free time, and I want to paint. So I save up that time for a treat, and I will scroll and look at the artists I follow and make comments. But I also, by scrolling and by looking at what other people are doing, that will give you ideas for posts as well. You'll get familiar with how Instagram can be used, and you can start copying and trying out those ideas as well. So 9, making posts. So posts are the bit on they're called your grid. It's these little squares, sometimes the rectangles of things that you have posted, and they live on your page until you put up new ones. So anything you don't like, you can always remove it by archiving it. You can always go back in and edit it as well afterwards. It allows you to do that. But ideas for posts, if you're like, what will I do? I don't know what to show. You could always show your paintings. You can always take a photograph. You can share a painting, a finished painting, an exhibition you're in. You could do a little corner of your studio, a little edge of a painting. People love, I'm always fascinated with other artists' studios. You could just show your messy floor. You could show what you wear, your palette, your paintbrushes. Let them in. Let them in. This is the way of letting people in to all that process behind being an artist. And people are fascinated with that. You could share things you see on your walks that inspire you. So that's things of posts. Hashtags. So hashtags are literally that hashtag symbol, and you write down a word, and it's like a searchable thing. So for example, Irish artist, woman artist, abstraction, things like that, contemporary artist, emerging artist. There's loads of them. Instagram allows you a maximum of 30, and apparently at the moment it's saying you shouldn't have so many, or hashtags are dead. I don't know. Just put a few on. I wouldn't do a post with 0 hashtags. Just put some on. If you put on too many, Instagram will tell you it's too many. It won't let you do the post. So just try it out. But just get in the habit of do put on some hashtags. And smaller hashtags are better. So when you're putting in your post and if you type in a hashtag and they pop up, Instagram will show you how many posts have that hashtag. So if you put down artists, there'll be millions. So you'll never be seen. So try and choose ones that are smaller, because that means if anybody is following that hashtag, they're more likely to see your post. So that would be my advice. Go for smaller hashtags. Point 11, please put down a location. Instagram allows you to put down a location with every post. So you can put down your country, your city. If you're in an exhibition, you can put down the gallery. You could also put down things that are more fun, like words like in my studio, or in my head, on my walk, in my garden. You can type in things like that, and they add another layer of context to your post and of interest. But definitely don't discount putting down your country or your city, because sometimes I follow artists and I actually don't know where they are in the world. I have no idea, because they never share their location, and their location isn't in their bio, and I'd be interested in knowing. So you've got to remember that Instagram is not just your local community that know you. Anybody can see your post if you're public, and they don't know where you are. So don't forget to put down your location. Point 12, comments. If you put a post and someone takes the trouble of writing a comment, comments are rare. People will do like, but there's less comments. Please reply to the comment, even if it's just a few hearts or a thank you. It's polite. I think it's not so nice if you write a comment and nobody acknowledges it. Someone's got the trouble of typing something, so please write an answer. Also, the more comments on a post, I think Instagram likes that. It shows your post to more people. So comments are good. And if you do a reply comment, that's another comment. So if I do a post, I will try and log in later that day. I might disappear, but I will definitely log in later that day and reply to any comments I have. So that's all posts. The other thing is stories. So stories go along the top of the page. Stories are little bubbles, little icons that appear at the top of the screen. People that I follow, their stories appear along here. And every time they put up a new story, that little circle, little line will go along it, or a little red line that I haven't seen it before. So on Instagram, to put up a story, you go to the plus symbol at the top, and it will tell you, do you want to put a post? Do you want to do a story? Do you want to do a reel? It'll give you all these options. So that's how you do a story. Stories disappear after 24 hours. So they're not like posts. Posts are there, they stay there unless you decide to archive them. Stories are more casual. So what I do is I tend to I'm more careful with my posts. They're like a painting or something that looks well presented. Stories are more casual. I could just, talk. I could show something I walk. I could just show my studio. I could show work in progress. I also share other artists. It's more immediate. It's more intimate. And stories are very powerful because they are so casual. They are so easy to do. You can just put them up and not worry about them too much. And that's how you make a highlight. So highlights are between the space in your bio and your grid, you've got these little circles. They're your highlights. Highlights are where you save things that people might be interested in looking at in the future. A little bucket of information. So every time you put up a story, you have the option of also saving that to a highlight. So for example, I've set up a highlight on my grid, which I've called podcast. And every time I put a story about the podcast I'm recording here today, I save that to that highlight. So that if anyone's interested in looking about the podcast, they can go in and they will tap on that and they will see every story that I have made on that's saved. And it will allow you to put up 100 stories, 100 images. in that one highlight. So if you have a highlight, you can go in, you can change the title. Don't leave it as highlight. Tell people a label of what it is. Paintings, new paintings, sold paintings, about me, inspiration, things like that, things that will be useful for people. And you can also go in and change the cover of the highlight afterwards, but that can be a little bit complicated. So a story becomes a highlight. Then 15, reels. That's something else you can create. So reels are videos. Up to now, it's mostly been photographs, unless you can also put videos, of course, in your stories. Reels are powerful because videos are powerful. We're naturally drawn to moving image. So if you're an artist, how do you make a reel? What I do, and it's the simplest one to do, is every so often when I'm painting, I will put my phone up. I have a ring light with a little holder, my phone. I put my phone there and I go into camera mode and I swipe across to time lapse, and I will record time lapse of that painting process. It's kind of interesting to see myself how the painting progresses. That's a really, really simple, it's the simplest reel in any painting. And I think also what I like about it is you can't really see the unit. You're kind of you're mostly just focusing on the painting. And it is fascinating how someone's painting process. I love watching people page. I know people do too. Instagram, it shows your on page. You don't know what that is. No, it's basically show it to you aren't following. Anybody can see as your Instagram posts. Most of see this people already follow you. So it's flying it out, just experiment and you can as well. It's not so important. I think it's play around and you can by doing it. It's worth trying reels. When you do a reel, Instagram puts it in two places. Over here on videos, or it also puts it on your grid post. At the very end of doing the reel, it will allow you to choose a cover. So you can swipe through all the images of your video and choose one for the cover. That's the easiest way of doing it. Or it also allow you to choose a photograph from your camera. And you can do that too. And you can go back and forward and you can choose one you like. And then the last step is it'll show you how it will look in the reels in your videos, which are vertical. And it will also show you how it looks on your grid post, which is square. So you can click over, see how it looks in grid post, and just move it around a little bit so the image looks good in both places. But you if you're like me, you'll do it wrong the first few times and you'll remember then after that. But just I think try it, have fun. Videos can be fun and they are quick. So I spoke already about Instagram as a community. So don't just be somebody who goes on Instagram to promote. Please go on also to look at the artists you follow, to share, to make comments. I always, when I go on Instagram, I spend very little time on it, but when I go on it, I would always try and write a comment because I'm very grateful when people write comments for me. And I try and support the artists by sharing their work on my page or my stories. And the other thing I would say is I also follow people who are not artists, like maybe some influencers in my geographical area in Ireland, maybe interior designers, and they're much more, I think, ahead of the game in Instagram. So I'd often get some ideas and inspiration for things I could do. And it's, I enjoy seeing inside their home. I find it this thing pleasurable in watching, but only follow people that I like. You can curate who you follow on Instagram. It should be enjoyable. It should be fun. But yeah, a lot of how I've learned things on Instagram is by watching other people and going, I wonder how they did that. And that's how I learned. So that's my last point. Learn by doing. Instagram is always changing. They're always introducing new things. And don't worry too much about that. Forget about perfection. Just try it out, have a little fun, and make an effort to do a few posts, do a few stories, maybe even try a reel, and you will learn by doing. Live is the last thing I didn't mention about it, because that is actually the scariest. Going live the first few times I did it, totally terrified, but it's quite powerful. You can do it, but it's, it's hardest. So I didn't really talk about that. I might talk about that some other time. So I would say is, of all these tips, maybe think about some easy ones. Maybe you look at your own page, your name, you can change your name. Make sure your name is somewhere in your handle. Look at your bio, change it. Make sure you have a link. Please have a link. Put down locations every time you have a post. Try and show up, be consistent. Maybe it's only once a week, but do a post once a week. Just make that commitment to yourself. Don't spend long on it. I do them really, really quickly. Don't worry about perfectionism. Just put it up there. Try stories and maybe try reels. Watch other people, follow them, make comments. And that's how you'll learn. And lastly, for me, Instagram is a very positive place. Great community. I've only think once had a kind of a troll type negative comment. So what I do, if I get any, you can get kind of personal DMs. If you get a DM that I find is a bit dodgy, you can just block that person and just do it. Just get rid of it. Just keep the place positive, and then it's a very enjoyable place to go. So I hope you found this useful. I am going to put this list in the show notes so you can look at it, and hopefully it will help. Please let me know what you did. But your homework is go and look at your own Instagram profile, because sometimes we go on, we forget when somebody goes on to our page, what do we look like? Look at your name. Could you make it clearer? Could you change it? Is your name somewhere there? And do you have a link? Are you public? And so that's the first thing I would say. That's your homework. Try stories if you haven't tried them. If you have, try doing a highlight. If you've done highlights, try doing a reel. You can kind of keep stepping it up. So that's your homework. Let me know how you get on. I'd love to hear back from you if any of this was useful, and if you would like some more tips on Instagram for artists. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Warrior Artist. Don't forget to subscribe so you can hear more episodes. And if you have a few moments, I'd be so grateful if you could rate or review, because others can find me then. If you want to see more what I'm up to or see what I'm doing on Instagram, you can see me on @Aideen_Glynn. That's EADAOIN_GLYNN, and my website, aideenglynn.com. Wishing you all the best with your creative journey. And remember, you are a warrior artist.